And Pat, not only I don't think is it not going to get solved, the fissures are bigger than they've ever been. It's not just Congress. I mean, how many times have you heard the commissioner or the president of the NCAA? Oh, we got to get right now. You have several different divisions within the college sports rank, and the newest one is this private equity formula that a lot of people are interested in. That will mean a lot more money. And they had a meeting in Dallas this week, including presidents at various schools in the Big Ten and one from the SEC. And they can't even get along. They can't even find any happy ground. So if the people within the bubble can't get along, then how do you expect the most contentious body in this country to come to an agreement? And that's the United States Congress.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at the Hacienda. Appreciate all of you for joining us. Appreciate all of you who've joined us on patreon.com. Many of you have won free subscriptions for a year, courtesy of Leonardo's at Millhopper. And actually, Kyle just sent me a new batch of those, and we'll be sending them out to some of our winners, including our Leonardo's pull today. We're pulling a winner today. So today, Paul Finebaum will join us. That's always fun to talk to Paul. We'll talk to him about the new commission that has been set up to have a meeting and not do anything, which is what will happen. I still can't understand look, Trump brought people in who he knows will listen to him. You know, and Bryson DeChambeau, Tiger Woods, Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, all the guys he plays golf with. But I don't think anything's going to get done. I hope it does. You know, I hope it is. But we'll see what Paul has to say about that. And we'll talk to him a little bit about basketball as well. And then, of course, Monday, Coach Spurrier. I'm still working on next Thursday's guest, but I'm sure we'll have a great one. Might be Patrick Young. I may get him to come on and talk about the SEC tournament, but it may be a scheduled conflict with him. I got to check with him on that. Actually, I tried to call him yesterday, but I think he was flying back from Charlotte. Anyway, so let us proceed with our Moneymetals.com starting five, brought to you by our friends at Moneymetals Exchange. Moneymetals.com is your home for gold and silver purchases, one of the largest distributors in all the United States. 2 Gator grads are running it, and you can reach them at 1-800-800-1865 or at moneymetals.com. Easy enough. So, okay, number one on our Moneymetals.com starting five is how great was Tuesday night. That's all I have to say. Karen and I went to the game, even though that morning, and this is a true story. that day I had a real problem with my foot. An ulcer had formed on the bottom of it, and it was giving me some problems. And I went in to emergency surgery. No, it wasn't really surgery. They just opened it up and got some stuff out, and it's doing better. But I'm like, well, that takes me out of the game. I can't go to the game with Karen because I'm having this surgery. And although it wasn't that bad. And I said to myself, what would Micah do? Micah Handlockton. I want to be there for Micah's last game, because what that guy has given to the University of Florida, a guy who broke his leg to the point where, I mean, one of the worst injuries we've ever seen. Comes back, plays at the end of the season, helps them to a national title. Now he's back again, accepting his role as the third big guy off the bench, doing good things, not doing more than he's expected to do, but doing what he can do well. And I said, so we went to the game. And I said, we're going to go. I'm going to gut it out. Turned out it was still pretty numb from the Novocaine, so it was not too bad. Anyway, well, how great was it, though? The whole night was great. Yeah. Then when they went down 10, I will be honest with you. I was telling Karen, I'm looking at my phone during a break, and I go, yeah, Georgia's beating Alabama. If they win, this game is just for seeding purposes. It's over. Florida's won the title outright. So when they're down 10, Karen turns to me and she goes, "What's that Georgia score again?" She was not happy. And from that point on, next thing I know, I go, remember when they were down 10? Now they're up 21. What is going on with this team? It's amazing. It's amazing that CJ Ingram comes off the bench and knocks down a couple of threes. It's amazing that, I mean, this team has so much fun. The Cooper Josephsburg 3-pointer at the end of the game, they celebrated like they just won the national title. I love these guys, and I love this coach, and I love what they're doing, and I hope they go far in the tournament. But they've given me plenty already this year, and I appreciate them. You have no Thomas Houck for the game, and imagine that if you're Coach Jans over at Mississippi State, and you're sitting there and you're going, Thomas Houck is their best player, although you can make arguments that he's not, but he is their best player. Let's face it. Could be a lottery pick in the draft. He's out for the game. We might be able to pull this off. Now, who are they bringing in to replace him? Oh, a 7'1" guy? Okay. And who's going to make big shots in this game? A guy who hadn't played all year, but was a great player in high school? What am I supposed to do? I'm Chris Jans. I mean, again, they've got one good player. Well, actually, that other kid was not bad, but Hubbard is really a dangerous, and they've won some games, but not many. And Karen actually turned to me at one point and goes, "Is this team ranked?" I go, "Karen, they're under 500. They're terrible." And she's like, "Well, why aren't we killing them?" I go, I've watched this team play every game all year. I'm not as embedded with them like Chris Harry is, but I've watched them, and I've had conversations with the head coach. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. All she could remember was the Auburn game. And I told her, I said, I went to the Auburn game, lost, went to the USF football game, lost. We'll always have Kennesaw State because I went to that game and they won. But this game, obviously, they turned it on. I was really into it. In fact, Karen, I think, was a little surprised how much I talked during the game. Usually, I'm one of those, because when you're a sports writer in life, you're just sitting there quietly writing things down, and you may turn to your compadre, I should say, not or comrade, either way, and Robbie Andrew, and say, "That was a terrible throw," or something like that. But that's about all you're going to do. You're working. But I was there as a fan, just sitting in the stands, and I'm yelling at the refs. I'm yelling at Pat Adams. Immediately, as soon as I yell at Pat Adams and call him Patch Adams, I get a text from my friend Sticks, who says, "Pat Adams is a terrible official." He teed up Todd. I'm sure Todd dropped another F-bomb. He likes to drop them every once in a while. There were some bad calls, but my philosophy: play around the officials. You'll always have to play around them. You can't let them get in your head. But they did. Just destroyed Mississippi State, which was not surprising. They were huge favorites, so that was good. But my concern going into the game was you have senior night and you're presented with the championship trophy, and it's almost like Greg Sankey was saying, "Here's your trophy. See you in Nashville. Good luck to everything. Hopefully you guys do well again because you're part of our conference." Instead of, but that was the right way to handle it. That was fine. We all enjoyed it. We all clapped. When Micah came out for senior night, I didn't well up. I thought I might well up, but I was very excited about it. When he made that save remember the pass went beyond him, and he made that save back to the corner to Klabchar, and I literally went to my wife. I go, "If this goes in," and he made it, and I'm just standing there like this with my arms up in the air. So I was a fan. I was a fanboy on Saturday or on Tuesday, just watching these guys. Really proud of them. Really proud of. I'm just proud of Coach Golden, all the coaches there, Carlin Hartman, Torian Green, Saphir, all those guys. All the players, everybody on the team. When they were announcing the senior trainers, I was clapping because I'm like, these guys have something to do with what's going on here. It's a revolution, baby. Florida is Florida's pretty special right now in the world of college basketball. And Todd Golden is very special in the world of college basketball. So let's get to number 2 on our moneymetals.com starting 5. And that is, where will Florida end up being seeded? Now, we still don't know. We know they're in the 1 seed for the tournament, obviously. And that's good because you play a 1 o'clock game Eastern time every day. And that's perfect. That's what you want to kind of have especially when you're playing 3 games in 3 days, you want to have it all set up for you. They're going to play really good teams. But you know what I say? Who cares? Bring them on. I don't want to play Kentucky in front of all their fans. I'm assuming they're still going to show up. I wouldn't want to play Kentucky, depending on how the seeding goes, mainly because you're playing them Saturday. But we'll see how that works out. The good news for Florida, and again, I don't know how big a deal the difference is between a 1 and a 2 seed. I really don't. I mean, I know what the numbers will tell you, but if Florida ends up the top 2 seed, I think it's okay. You would have to play a 1 seed if you went all the way down to the what would that be? The Elite 8? Yeah. But you're going to have to play good teams. You're going to beat good teams. Nothing is handed to you. So I hope they get a 1 seed for the second year in a row. They may be the last number 1 seed. Guess what they were last year? The last number 1 seed. How'd that work out? Question is this team better than last year's team? That could be a good 5 things. That I do that every Wednesday and Friday on Patreon. For those of you who don't subscribe, it's $5 a month. Come on. Back nines on there, a bunch of stuff. I work my tail off. I love doing it though. It's been a lot of fun. But that would be a good one. The 5, yeah, I think I could do that. Now it's in my head. So we'll see where Florida ends up. And again, if they lose at Kentucky on senior day for them, I don't know what seniors they have, but if they do, I'm not going to sit there and go, God, maybe they celebrate too much. No, these things happen, man. Kentucky's good. Kentucky wins a lot at home. They lose a lot on the road. They're not an elite team. They're a good team, though, and they're good enough to beat Florida. But I'd pick the Gators if I was making a pick. But like I was going to say, the Ken Palm, they're at 4. The net, they're at 4. They have 11 quad 1 wins, and that's the thing. Nobody else has double figures other than the top 3 seeds, which are Arizona, Duke, and Michigan, and then Florida. And that's their 4 team. Everybody else is, and now things can change. We all know that. They could lose to Kentucky, but that's another opportunity for a quad 1 win. If you go into the tournament, you probably are going to get a quad 1 opportunity right off the bat there. You may end up with 3 total. So that would give you 4 more quad 1 wins. If you win the tournament, you'll have 15. You're going to be a 1 seed. And the battle is between them and UConn. And I know that UConn beat them at a semi-neutral site. And I look, that game mattered. That game still matters right now. You got to consider that. And if they said, hey, UConn beat Florida, we're putting them ahead of them, I would say, I get that. And we'll see what happens with the Kentucky game. Kentucky has fallen all the way to like a 7 or 8 seed. So, I mean, it's an important game for Kentucky. And in fact, I almost think it's more important for them to get their seed line right, to get where they want to be, to win at home, to win on senior day. I'm sure they think it's a more important game, but they always think everything's more important there. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to the game, but I'm not going to feel the stress I have felt for some of these games this year. Anyway, that's number 2 on our Moneymetals.com starting 5. Let's get to number 3 on our Moneymetals Exchange.com. Our Moneymetals.com, but it's Moneymetals Exchange is the name of it. And you can get any of your rounds or coins or anything there, man. I've got a few here. I may bring some in Monday to show them off again. So football practice started, and everybody who's been out of practice saying the same thing. Man, there's a new electricity, a new energy here. And I'm not quite buying it yet. And here's why. Now, I know we just had John Summerall on, and he was great. And I do feel his energy, and I know he's not going to let this team sleepwalk through anything. But that was Ron Zook too, did the same thing. Now, I will say this, Florida would take a Ron Zook year in this year. They would take 8 wins. They would be very happy with 8 wins, only because they haven't won 8. Well, I mean, they won 8 2 years ago, but you know what I'm talking about. They would take 8-5, 8-5, and then go be good. That's not what John Summerall's preaching, though. He's preaching we're going to compete right away. I think he's got really good players. All I'm saying is I've seen enthusiastic coaches come in here before, and remember Ron Zook used, and again, I love Ron. He's a great dude, and I was probably way too hard on him when he was at Florida. But Ron used to run plays one way and then come back and run one the other way, so that you could speed up the number of plays you got in, and that was electricity and everything. Oh, but it didn't work out. I don't know about John Summerall. I don't know if he's. I want to see. I'm not even talking about the spring game. I got to see this team at Auburn, 3rd game of the year. I mean, we'll find out about these guys. They got good players. They don't have a ton of good players. They've got decent players. They've got some real potential stars. We're going to see what he can get out of everybody, and that's the bottom line. What can he pull from all of these guys, and can he pull them together? All this is going to be discovered over the next few football seasons, not because of spring practice. My goal in spring is to be clean. Nobody get hurt. I know Dallas Wilson's out because they're taking it as a precaution because he hurt that foot. Obviously, it was a problem last year, and then he hurt it again against Georgia and missed the last part of the season. Miles Graham, shoulder surgery, so he's not going to hit anybody. But you know what he can do. You know what he can do. And everybody's got new numbers and everything. And I'm like, okay, all this is great. And I get it. If you want to be enthused as a Gator fan, be enthused, and I'm happy for you. I just have seen too much where spring football wasn't important. Sometimes it is, but I can't recall one spring where I went, that's when I knew Florida was really going to be good. No. It's spring football is for the coaches more than anything. To get, and this time especially, where you're trying to get together. However, it is good to see a burst of energy after the guy who had no energy was the head coach here. And look, when Billy Napier took over here, everybody thought it was a no-brainer. He was going to be great. And every time I went to a press conference, I was impressed with him. But the bottom line is, he just didn't have that energy. And Florida lacked, as a result, an edge. That's, as I said to Coach Summerall, that's what's been missing here, and that's what he's got to get back. All right, let's move along on our Moneymetals.com starting 5, and that would be baseball, which last night won again, although they needed some breaks to win. Didn't play. They've had games where they just aren't good in the field. They've had some defensive lapses, and but still, they're 13-1. They've got a 13-game win streak after that first game loss, and the record at Florida is 16, which was the COVID year. I heard Jeff and Nick Belmonte talking about it last night. Again, we all remember that they'd won 16 in a row. They lost to FSU. I'll remember it like it was yesterday. I'm sitting there in the press box, and my daughter shows up unannounced with Clorox wipes and all this other stuff, and she's wiping down my workspace, and I go, what's going on? She goes, this COVID thing's really serious, Dad. And I go, oh, I'm going to the SEC tournament tomorrow. It's going to be fine. And I did. I went to the SEC tournament and saw one game, and I wasn't Florida, and then had to come back. Anyway, that year, they were getting ready to play Georgia. They lost to FSU that night. I can't remember the guy's name. He just stuffed them. He was really good pitching. And then I went up to and then Georgia was coming in. It was going to be 1 versus 2, and they never made it because of COVID. But anyway, 16 in a row is a record, and they've won 13 in a row. So keep it going. 6:34 and trying to remember what time the other game is. 6:34 and 1 are the game times. They've got a High Point this weekend. Doesn't rattle your chains probably, but High Point's not bad. Look, people are going to go to the game, especially on Saturday, I believe it is. Saturday, the problem they have is they got a 4:00 game, and people are not going to show up for that because the basketball game's at 4 too. So, we saw this on Tuesday night. The crowd for UNF was just nobody there. And I expect, I mean, look, people love going to that ballpark. They love being part of the experience, but they don't love it when the Gators are playing at home and playing to win the SEC outright. They don't want to go to that game. I get that, and that's fine. All right. Let us get to number 5 on our moneymetals.com starting 5. We do want to talk to you about the Legends Gala that is coming up. For those of you who did not watch the show Monday, we talked about it. All 3 Heisman winners are going to come to life. The statues are coming to life. It's going to be like Night at the Museum. And they're going to all be there. They're going to have an opportunity to catch a ball from all 3 of these guys or any of these 3 guys, and you get a video and a ball signed by them. That's one segment. And then there's going to be a party, gala, dinner over at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill afterwards. You can go into a different room with one of the Heisman winners and I guess you can go into another room with another Heisman winner and hang out with him. It is really a cool experience. And you can go to fllegend.com to order your tickets. They're really pushing this. It's coming up at the end of the month, and it benefits the Isaiah 117 house, which they're trying to get one here in town. They've got them around the country, and it's really a great charity, a great idea, and we'll see these statues come to life. So if you're interested in being part of it, it sounds like a great opportunity for everybody. And they're trying to raise a lot of money for this Isaiah House 117. So that is the Legends Gala at the end of the month. So you don't have much time. You got to get to work on it. All right. That's going to do it for our moneymetals.com starting 5. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Mount of the South, Paul Finebaum will join us and we'll play yes, no, where, maybe with him. You are listening or watching to No, not watching to. You're watching or listening to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Coach, you know what always impressed me? How you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila. Aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. You know what I'm talking about. They would take 8-5, and then go be good. That's not what John Summerall's preaching, though. He's preaching we're going to compete right away. I think he's got really good players. All I'm saying is I've seen enthusiastic coaches come in here before, and remember Ron Zook used, and again, I love Ron. He's a great dude, and I was probably way too hard on him when he was at Florida. But Ron used to run plays one way and then come back and run one the other way, so that you could speed up the number of plays you got in, and that was electricity and everything. Oh, but it didn't work out. I don't know about John Summerall. I don't know if he's. I want to see. I'm not even talking about the spring game. I got to see this team at Auburn, third game of the year. I mean, we'll find out about these guys. They got good players. They don't have a ton of good players. They've got decent players. They've got some real potential stars. We're going to see what he can get out of everybody. And that's the bottom line. What can he pull from all of these guys? And can he pull them together? All this is going to be discovered over the next few football seasons. Not because of spring practice. My goal in spring is to be clean. Nobody get hurt. I know Dallas Wilson's out because they're taking it as a precaution because he hurt that foot. Obviously, it was a problem last year, and then he hurt it again against Georgia and missed the last part of the season. Miles Graham, shoulder surgery, so he's not going to hit anybody. But you know what he can do. You know what he can do. And everybody's got new numbers and everything. And I'm like, okay, all this is great. And I get it. If you want to be enthused as a Gator fan, be enthused, and I'm happy for you. I just have seen too much where spring football wasn't important. Sometimes it is, but I can't recall one spring where I went, that's when I knew Florida was really going to be good. No. It's spring football is for the coaches more than anything. To get, and this time especially, where you're trying to get together. However, it is good to see a burst of energy after the guy who had no energy was the head coach here. And look, when Billy Napier took over here, everybody thought it was a no-brainer. He was going to be great. And every time I went to a press conference, I was impressed with him. But the bottom line is, he just didn't have that energy. And Florida lacked, as a result, an edge. That's, as I said to Coach Summerall, that's what's been missing here, and that's what he's got to get back. All right, let's move along on our Moneymetals.com. Starting five, and that would be baseball, which last night won again, although they needed some breaks to win. Didn't play. They've had games where they just aren't good in the field. They've had some defensive lapses, and but still, they're 13-1. They've got a 13-game win streak after that first game loss. And, the record at Florida is 16, which was the COVID year. I heard Jeff and Nick Belmonte talking about it last night. Again, we all remember that. They'd won 16 in a row. They lost to FSU. I'll remember it like it was yesterday. I'm sitting there in the press box, and my daughter shows up unannounced with Clorox wipes and all this other stuff, and she's wiping down my workspace, and I go, what's going on? She goes, this COVID thing's really serious, Dad. And I go, oh, I'm going to the SEC tournament tomorrow. It's going to be fine. And I did. I went to the SEC tournament and saw one game, and I wasn't Florida, and then had to come back. Anyway, that year, they were getting ready to play Georgia. They lost to FSU that night. I can't remember the guy's name. He just stuffed them. He was really good pitching. And then I went up to and then Georgia was coming in. It was going to be 1 versus 2, and they never made it because of COVID. But anyway, 16 in a row is a record. and they've won 13 in a row. So keep it going. 6:34 and trying to remember what time the other game is. 6:34 and 1 are the game times. They've got High Point this weekend. Doesn't rattle your chains probably, but High Point's not bad. Look, people are going to go to the game, especially on Saturday, I believe it is. Saturday, the problem they have is they got a 4:00 game, and people are not going to show up for that because the basketball game's at 4 too. So, we saw this on Tuesday night. The crowd for UNF was just nobody there, and I expect. I mean, look, people love going to that ballpark. They love being part of the experience, but they don't love it when the Gators are playing at home and playing to win the SEC outright. They don't want to go to that game. I get that, and that's fine. All right. Let us get to number 5 on our Moneymetals.com starting 5. We do want to talk to you about the Legends Gala that is coming up. For those of you who did not watch the show Monday, we talked about it. All 3 Heisman winners are going to come to life. The statues are coming to life. It's going to be like Night at the Museum. And they're going to all be there. They're going to have an opportunity to catch a ball from all 3 of these guys or any of these 3 guys, and you get a video and a ball signed by them. That's one segment, and then there's going to be a party, gala, dinner over at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill afterwards. You can go into a different room with one of the Heisman winners and I guess you can go into another room with another Heisman winner and hang out with him. It is really a cool experience. And you can go to fllegend.com to order your tickets. They're really pushing this. It's coming up at the end of the month, and it benefits the Isaiah 117 house, which are trying to get one here in town. They've got them around the country, and it's really a great charity, a great idea, and we'll see these statues come to life. So if you're interested in being part of it, it sounds like a great opportunity for everybody. And they're trying to raise a lot of money for this Isaiah House 117. So that is the Legends Gala at the end of the month. So you don't have much time. You got to get to work on it. All right. That's going to do it for our Moneymetals.com starting 5. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Mount of the South, Paul Finebaum will join us, and we'll play yes, no, where, maybe with him. You are listening or watching to No, not watching to. You're watching or listening to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Ever dreamed of catching a touchdown pass from Tim Tebow or Danny Werfel, or taking a handoff from the legendary Steve Spurrier? Then you need to join the Florida Legends experience on Monday, March 30th at the Alachua County at Celebration Point. You'll receive a personal video of your touchdown and a football signed by the Gator Legends. Enjoy an unforgettable day of Gator greatness while supporting the incredible mission of Isaiah 117 House. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at FLLegends.com. That's FLLegends.com. Don't miss your chance to be a part of Gator history.
All right, it may be a new year, but it doesn't mean you have to back off any of your goals as far as losing weight. I know I've been working even harder on it, and of course I get an assist from BMI TeleMed. They help us out with our New Year's resolutions, even if I've already broken 2 of them. Not the food ones, though. Weight loss is your goal. Get with BMI TeleMed. They use GLP-1 medications, and they are individualized, and that's the great thing. I've been through this, and Charlie, just talking to him, it was so great to make him understand, and he understood what I was doing. It's not about just losing weight. It is about keeping it off. You know that. We're all excited about the new year, and we're going to lose weight, but when you lose it in the first month, then you got to keep going. BMI TeleMed is sensible. It's straightforward. It's affordable. No contracts or hidden costs. BMI TeleMed is donating $1 for every pound you lose to the Florida Victorious Foundation. So go Gators. Join the listeners on this podcast who've already lost over 600 pounds. Are you kidding me? I'm 60 of them right there. All right, contact BMI TeleMed today at 727-383-1677.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert,
Are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It is always an honor to bring in the great Paul Finebaum, the voice of college football, the mouth of the South, whatever you want to call him. There's a lot of things that people probably have called you, Paul, during your time.
Yeah, but Pat, as we both have found out, as you get a little bit older, they decide to have mercy on you.
I didn't realize this until I was just doing some research. You're not quite a year younger than me, but almost a year younger than me. So that must make you feel good.
Yeah, I love it when you do everything you can to stay in shape and try to stay healthy, and then you'll see a friend you haven't seen in a while, and the guy will say something like he's giving you a revelation. He said, "Do you realize how old we are?" And like I'm going, "Yeah, I remember every single birthday."
Yeah, they come fast. I feel like at this age. Let's start out, and of course, Paul Finebaum, the great from the SEC network, and does a great job. Not only that, for ESPN as well. And he's coming to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. You said what I said, which is this college football roundtable they're having feels like a circus. And my thing was when I saw the people, like, good idea, the people want to go, Shambo really had to say about college football. I mean, it makes no sense to me.
Well, Pat, first of all, any of us who have ever been in a small meeting, let alone a large one, and on top of that, it's being hosted by the President of the United States, who, like him or not, is a great entertainer and he's a great performer. And I've watched a number of things that he has conducted, and he likes to talk. So if you have 45 people in a room and a finite period of time, somewhere between an hour and 2 hours, who is going to be able to speak? And having also been in those rooms, the people that get to talk usually have written it out. It's usually subservient to the host of the meeting. So do you tell me what is going to get accomplished? I know that's a negative view. I think it's a positive that people are talking, but we've had talks for 5 years and nothing has happened.
Well, that's the question I have for everybody. Is this ever going to get solved? And I don't know that it is going to get solved in my lifetime, to be honest with you.
And Pat, not only I don't think is it not going to get solved, the fissures are bigger than they've ever been. It's not just Congress. I mean, how many times have you heard the commissioner or the president of the NCAA? Oh, we got to get. Right now, you have several different divisions within the college sports rank, and the newest one is this private equity formula that a lot of people are interested in, that will mean a lot more money. And they had a meeting in Dallas this week, including presidents at various schools in the Big Ten and one from the SEC. And they can't even get along. They can't even find any happy ground. So if the people within the bubble can't get along, then how do you expect the most contentious body in this country to come to an agreement? And that's the United States Congress.
You hit it right on the head there, because it's just amazing to me how who is looking out for college football? None of the commissioners, none of the, nobody cares about, except people like us, which is why you, and to be honest with you, people like me who watch more college football than anybody, should have been invited to that meeting.
No, and listen, I don't want to act like I don't know anything about politics, or you don't, or we don't know how this works, but just think of the names: Condoleezza Rice, Tim Tebow, Ryan DeChambeau, Tiger Woods, Adam Silver, Ron DeSantis. These are names that just gravitate to bright lights, and every one of them are accomplished, but in this setting, they really don't have any place. The people that can solve this problem are a couple of commissioners and a couple of key members of Congress. The president could probably MC it if he wanted, and about 8 or 10 people, and say, listen, okay, we are not coming out of this room until we come to a common ground. But that's not happening. And instead, Tim Tebow, the best known name in our lives, and when it comes to college football, he comes from one perspective. He doesn't represent the players today. You and I know that. Ron DeSantis, I don't know the guy, but you tell me what he's going to do. He played baseball at Yale, I think. So he's got Marco Rubio, who will be there as well. And before anybody starts hitting the laugh track, going, maybe he's got better things to do right now. But at least his son plays college football right now. I mean, he is at least connected to the conversation.
He's not far from me practicing right now, to be honest with you. Yeah. And let's bring it back to that, because look, we can talk forever about what they aren't getting done in college football, but what they are getting done in college football are people are still going to the games. They're still, no matter how much you want to gouge them on the prices and charge $18 for a beer, Florida's had 18 or 19 straight sellouts. We see the numbers of viewership are just still through the roof. I know the Nielsen changed a little bit this year, but still, they're really good. So it's not like, I think it's idiot proof, and we're about to find out whether it is idiot proof.
Well, Saturdays are great. Pat, there's still nothing like a football Saturday in the Swamp or in Baton Rouge or Tuscaloosa or anywhere. The conflicts during the week are going to always be there. And quite frankly, I haven't even noticed a whole lot from the player standpoint. So what if a player is making $2 million a year and has a Lamborghini and has a bunch of jewelry? Like, do I care? I really don't. He still has to earn his stripes on the field. And if he doesn't, he'll go somewhere else or be shown the door. The fans, I mean, people our age are, much better in the 70s. Well, no, I heard that in the 70s about the 50s, in the 80s about the 60s. It just doesn't matter. I mean, we're all the same. But the problem is that at some point, this is going to take a direction. And what I love is I sat in a room about 2 years ago, and I was the introductory speaker in front of Charlie Baker, and this guy, the president of the NCAA, got up and spent 45 minutes blasting the NCAA for the current problems. Now he was the governor of Massachusetts, but he's still in charge of the organization. And Pat, I haven't seen him do one thing.
No, and I don't know what you can. That's the problem. I don't know. I always refer to it as they're gumming their food in the NCAA. They've got no teeth anymore. They come out with this thing about, we're concerned about tampering, and then nobody's going to stop tampering. And that's the thing that bothers me the most is, well, two things. One, are we taking scholarships away from high school kids, which I think we are with this allowing guys to play 9 years? And are we going to destroy the sport that we love so much? And I don't think the latter will happen, but the former is definitely happening.
Well, one of the biggest changes in the last couple of years, you just alluded to it, is high school sports. I ran into a young man a couple of months ago. He was all state, top running back in the state. He couldn't get a scholarship offer. I mean, he wasn't lightning fast. He was just a good, solid runner that could probably, be serviceable on any SEC roster. But you and I know that of the 25 players that come in every year, about 12 to 15 maybe are from high schools, because they're not worth the time. You can, if University of Florida is better off going after some kid that played at a smaller school for 3 years, knowing that he'll understand their system and be ready to go for 1 year, as opposed to trying to develop a high school player. So that's where the whole sport is essentially upside down. I talked to a smaller college coach the other day, and he said, we try to recruit now. Come here for 3 years, and we'll prepare you for that $1 million payday from Florida, Alabama, and LSU. I mean, it's just convoluted, but that doesn't matter to the fan. All the fan cares about is what star was my guy in high school? Can he make a difference? And if he can, get rid of him.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because Kerwin Bell told me that's how they're recruiting to Western Carolina. They're saying, hey, come here. We'll get you ready for your big payday. We can't pay you now, but we'll get you ready for that payday. And hey, look, they get better players that way. And they've won a lot, obviously, up there. I want to shift gears. Are you guys going to be in Nashville next week?
We actually aren't. We normally do it, but thanks to Texas and Oklahoma, they've added 2 more games on the opening day, which are right in our time slot.
Boy, I don't know. It's I want to get Texas back out of this league. They keep winning everything, and all these other small sports. But certainly you have had some interesting stuff to talk about with basketball in terms of what's happened at places that you were certainly very involved in, Alabama and Auburn. What happened at Alabama with Bediako, what's happening at Auburn with everybody's calling Bruce Pearl a Nepo baby. It's a strange time in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, the Alabama case was just wrong. It was a bad look for college athletics, and it's easy to criticize the commissioner, but he did the right thing in trying to go to the NCAA with an affidavit. The Auburn thing is pretty embarrassing. I mean, Bruce Pearl, who had a show cause for 3 years after Tennessee, who was banned from the game. He took an act of Congress to get him the Auburn job. His program immediately went under investigation. One of his former coaches, ended up, going on trial. He lets people think he's running for Senate, which he wasn't going to, by the way. And on the day of the first practice, he announces his retirement, and his son gets the job. We've both seen the movie before. Any father who has a son in coaching, it's the same thing, except he was able to pull it off because he had capital. And Stephen Pearl has a couple of big wins under his belt, including one in Florida. But other than that, he's been a disaster. He shouldn't have gotten the job on a full-time basis. He should have been an interim coach for a year, and he wouldn't have gotten the job for next year.
Well, I've been told by people from the Florida side that Auburn's got a lot of head cases on their team, and I'm like, I see it in their record,
Yeah.
It's certainly been fun for us here to watch this Florida team, and I got to think that has been an interesting topic too. Is that just all the way we thought they were going to not be that great this year. I told my daughter, who was a big fan, I said, she goes, "Don't you want to go to win the tournament again this year?" I go, "It's hard to win the tournament. I just want them to get to the tournament." Now they got a chance to be a 1 seed. And I think Todd Golden should be the coach of the year, to be honest with you, to replace 3 NBA players and win the league. I think is pretty impressive.
No, I agree. There are a couple of candidates, but he's probably done the most. He's been phenomenal. And listen, we're a week and a half away from Selection Sunday, and there will be a lot of people picking Florida to win it all.
Yeah, last year everybody picked them, and it made me mad because I'm a big believer. I want to get in under the radar, just get in under the radar. All right, I did want to ask you about the passing of Lou Holtz, and I don't know what your relationship was like with him. Mine was a little mixed. Sometimes I liked him, sometimes I didn't like him. I introduced him to the quarterback club here, and but certainly he was a legendary figure in the game.
I worked with him a couple of times at ESPN, and to say at times he was difficult would be an understatement. I tried to joke with him once on a live broadcast, and he got very upset with me. It was just I was trying to be the same, and he chastised me afterwards, and you owe me an apology. So I said I'm sorry. So I apologized. So about 3 years ago, a guy called me and said, "Would you MC a banquet in Birmingham with Lou Holtz?" I said, "I'd be happy to do it. It's a great charity, but use safety in football. But I don't think he'll do it." So I get a call with it. "Paul, Lou Holtz. You don't think I'll agree?" I said, he said, "Of course I'll do it." And it was just unbelievable. But this was about 3 days before they called me. They said, "Listen, he's 86 years old." I said, "I'm aware of that." He said, "Be prepared with a speech in case he just doesn't feel well." So I wrote out this terrible speech. I get up there and Pat, we talked beforehand. We sat at the dinner together. As long as you kept Lou Holtz from the 60s until about 1995, he was the sharpest human being on the face of the earth. But you just didn't want to get too close to where we were. He stopped at the South Carolina experience. He said, "I don't want to talk about South Carolina." But talking about talking about Arkansas and especially Notre Dame, he did not miss a date. He did not miss a score. He talked about being in Hollywood with all the celebrities. He was on Late Night with Johnny Carson during his heyday doing magic trick, and for 500 people literally spellbound by Lou Holtz, and it was just remarkable. And the impact that he had on college football is paramount. And his greatest contribution remains this, that 38 years ago, he won a national championship at Notre Dame, and they haven't won one since.
No, they haven't. I always gave him so much credit when he suspended all those players at Arkansas and then won the Orange Bowl. And that to me cemented him as a good coach. And I know people like Urban Meyer just thought the world of Lou Holtz. I didn't like him on TV. I guess maybe that was.
No, he was a little bit. But and you know the backstory. I remember when his wife got sick. Steve Spurrier interceded and made sure she got into Shands. So, I mean, there's a lot of connection. But I'll show my age here, but there just really aren't many people like him anymore. And there won't be. Nick Saban may have 7 national championships, but he's not a personality. Lou Holtz everybody wanted to meet Lou Holtz.
Paul, we have this little called Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Cheesesteaks Street Dining done the right way. We got 3 questions for you, and you get free fries with the order if you mention you heard Paul Finebaum on another duly noted podcast. 3 questions for Paul Finebaum. Team in the Final Four. Yes, nowhere, maybe.
Pat, my apologies. I need you to repeat that. You broke up for 1 second. I heard something about the Final Four.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, having some internet problems here. The SEC has a team in the Final Four.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think somebody will, and it could be Alabama. If they have one of those where they're making the threes, of course, they shot 41 the other night and didn't help them. It's pretty amazing. Number 2 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe. Kalen DeBoer is the Alabama coach in 2027. It's going to be tough for him. I mean, I imagine it gets pretty loud in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, the one thing that he has going for him, he's got a schedule he's got the 5 home games in the SEC. He's got, I think it's a manageable schedule. It's, he doesn't have Texas on the schedule. There's a couple. He does have Georgia though, and if he can skate past the early front, his tough second game of the season is at Kentucky. I don't believe Kentucky's ready to beat them, but Alabama has shown a propensity to blow big games. I mean, not big games, but those off-brand games.
Well, like the Vanderbilt game a couple of years ago, that was certainly
and FSU last year.
Yep, absolutely. I still can't figure that one out.
Yeah.
If you had told me at that point they were going to end up 5-7 and lose to a Florida team with an interim coach, I would have believed Florida had an interim coach. But anyway, finally, number 3 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe. You have found barbecue in Charlotte as good as Dreamland.
No. Charlotte's a really nice city. I've never found any food there to be good.
To be honest, I'm trying to remember if I've eaten there. I've had cocktails there, but I don't know if I've ever eaten there. I've been there for a wedding, but
most people pass through Charlotte. That's about it.
Yeah. Hey, we appreciate you coming on. Great stuff as always. Always good talking to you, and I hope everything's going well with you. For us 70s somethings, we've got to stick together. You know that. So, all right, we'll be back with more. Yeah, we'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 national championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill. 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila. Aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I want to give a big shout out to Titan and to Meldon Law for being with us, and for all of our sponsors for staying with us, and I appreciate it very much. It's humbling at times. I think I've said that before, but I mean it. All right, so let's go ahead and move along to another great sponsor who's been with us for a long, long time, our Hesser and Kipke. Three things. Hesser and Kipke, with over 50 years of combined legal experience in North and Central Florida, Hesser and Kipke is your place for bankruptcy, workers' compensation, and family law. Call or text Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipke. Okay, well, I'm going to start out number one with the fact that the women are playing golf here in town, the Gator Invitational. And a lot of you are probably not going to go out and watch it. And nobody wants to watch golf. It's hard to watch golf at the collegiate level unless you're really into it. And there'll be people out there. But it's funny because somebody, and I think it was Karen, but it may have been somebody else, said, hey, how come Florida, no, it was my brother, said, how come Florida's not good in women's golf? They're so good in men's golf. And I go, they're really good in women's golf. Have you paid attention? They're 7th in the country. I don't know what you want out of them. That is the Gator way, man. How come we stink in golf? We're only number 7 in the country. Anyway, that starts 8:30 on Friday and Saturday, and 9 o'clock on Sunday. The best other team in it is probably North Carolina. They're ranked number 14. But Florida's ranked number 7. The Gator Invitational, we just had the men's a couple of weeks ago. Those greens are going to be slick out there. I may go out there just to watch that part. I'll watch them putt. But maybe they can give me some advice. Anyway, the Gator Invitational is this weekend, and we want to make sure we mention that. We also want to make sure we mention number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. The gymnastics has a huge meet on Sunday. It's a rare Sunday meet. My niece and her daughter are coming over for it, and I want to thank Mary Howard for taking care of them and getting them. They're actually sitting with the families, I think, of the gymnasts, so they're going to have so much fun. But Florida against LSU, I think that it's 2, LSU's 2, Florida's 4. So that's a top 5 matchup in gymnastics, and that will be on Sunday. Yeah, so be there or be square for that. That is at 6 o'clock, by the way, if you're wondering. And then number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, I did want to mention that Kyler Murray, they've told him he's getting cut. And it's so funny. The NFL is such a different animal than what we see in college. We know that. I mean, you can't say they're getting paid. Well, everybody's getting paid, but it's still a different animal in the way you cut people and you give up on players because they've either been hurt a lot or maybe they're not good. I think Kyler Murray is more about the injuries and the durability than that, but that's interesting, and it feels like a lot of teams are just saying, hey, you know what, we got our quarterback, and then 2 years later we'll say, maybe we don't. But that's the world of pro football. And there are guys getting cut left and right all over the place. You know that. So it'll be interesting to see what the rosters look like when we get to NFL season. All right. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week, brought to you by our good friends at Gallo Car Wash, where we get all of our cars washed, the only place to go. It is going to be, I would say USA, but it's the University of South Alabama. And they do the USA chant. But they are our Gallo Car Wash Sponges of the Week because they were playing a game Wednesday night, and they only had 7 players ejected and still won the game. Pretty good, man. I mean, this was in the third quarter. They got 7 players ejected, big fight, and 3 of them are out for their next game coming up. Tonight, I guess it would be, yeah. That's, boy. And a referee got hurt. There was so much going on. This is the women's game, man. Calm down. They had a huge fight, and the referee got knocked to the ground, had to go to the hospital and everything. You're soaking up all the attention because I would not have talked about South Alabama women's basketball otherwise. I am now. There was a player ejected from the other team. 1. 7 from one team, 1 from the other. So that came. I think women came off the bench, and I think that's why they got ejected. But anyway, what a party that must have been at the Sun Belt Conference tournament. I covered the Sun Belt Conference for a while. I covered when JU was in the Sun Belt. JU is one of the founding members, I think, of the Sun Belt. Vic Bubas was legendary coach at Duke, was the first commissioner of the Sun Belt. So there, I guess some trivia for you. Not that it matters. All right. That is our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. Let's move along to our favorite thing in the world. This, that, and the other.
Do you want? This, that, and the other.
Okay, this, that, and the other brought to you by our good friends at Notary Joe's. Of course, all your mobile notaring can be done right in your driveway here, because he will come to you. Call him at 863-990-4884 or reach him at notaryjoe80@gmail.com. It's brought to you by the Atlanta Hustle, the Southeast's favorite women's Frisbee team. Their schedule is up. You can go look at it and see if you're interested in watching a little bit of that. Look, we don't have a team in Gainesville, but maybe we're after our franchise. And by Darshackow Insurance, for all your home, auto, commercial, and life needs, Darshackow is the place to go. And we appreciate them very much. All right, here is this, that, and the other, brought to you by our 3 sponsors. Number 1, college baseball got worried about guys colliding it because this was happening often. Guys are coming down the baseline so hard, and they got to get there, and they would step on guys' feet, and they would do this, and they would bang into them sometimes, and you'd have a review. Was that intentional? Did guys get hurt? And we've seen guys pull out their arms, like tear their labrums, because they were reaching for a ball and the guy ran into them. So that was that college baseball said, hey, we're going to do something different. We're going to have a second bag out here. It's going to be a green bag, and you got to go to that bag. You don't go to the bag here. You go to that bag. And I think for the most part, that has reduced that problem. The other is that there still are issues with it because Florida lost one of their better players in fall camp when he stepped in between them and broke his leg. And then last night, Florida got the benefit of it because they had a play where the pitcher threw to first and the guy got tangled up on the green bag and got by him. And guess what? Florida got 2 runs, and that's how they won the game. So it's not always a good thing, but I think it does still look weird, but you kind of get used to it. When you first walk out to the ballpark, you got to go, oh yeah, the green bag. But then you watch the game and you realize it's still a good thing. But make sure their bags are properly stacked. All right, that is this, that, and the other. And we appreciate Notary Joe's, Dar Shakow, and the Atlanta Hustle for being part of our podcast. Let us move. It is time for us to pull a winner of our quick pick contest. Bunch of people have qualified. I have sent some email. The funny thing is when I send the emails out for, and again, Leonardo's is sponsoring these, I get they buy about 20 subscriptions to my Patreon site, patreon.com/Dooley noted. And I've sent a bunch of them out. Some people say, hey, I'm already a member. Give it to somebody else. So I do that. I got a new batch in, so I'm ready to send them to you. In fact, I'm going to send one to our winner today. And also, obviously, I'm going to mail her or him. I mean, I said her, because we've got a lot of women that have voted, him or her. The $25 at Leonardo's at Millhopper. You can go in there and get a Duels sandwich. Parmesan, chicken Parmesan, man, it's the best. I was going to go in there yesterday, and then that foot thing was bothering me again, so I didn't go. But I may go today. All right. So, Zach Arena, I've got all that. We had a lot of qualifiers because a lot of people picked, but not many people picked Georgia to beat Alabama, but a lot of people picked Arkansas to beat Texas at home, which is not surprising. And then all the other things. So I got all of them written down here. And we're going to go from the number 10, Larry Rentz's number, to the number 69, Jeff Cardozo's favorite number. And I've got them all written down here. And all you got to do is pick one of those names out, and we will pick a winner. Zach, what do you got? 36. Hey, well, I was right about a woman winning. Christina Davis is our winner. I like it when we get a lot of women in the contest. Sometimes I think it's just guys doing a second contest and using their wife's email. But I hope people are listening to it. I hope females are listening to it. I certainly don't think I've offended anybody, but it's great that Christina won, and we will send her that. And I will also, I have her email address, obviously, since she emails it in, the winner in, or what she thinks the winner is going to be, or when anybody does. Anyway, I'm going to give you one more game, one more chance to qualify for the next one. I'll give you one today, and that is just simply Florida, Kentucky. Look, I don't know who I'd pick in that game. If I had to bet on it, I don't know. I would bet Kentucky. Wow, I bet you Florida might be the favorite when the spreads finally come out. But anyway, whoever you want to pick there, Florida or Kentucky in Lexington, senior day for them. It's a big deal. It's not a big deal. You know, I used to poo-poo it, and then like there's certain players, like when Danny Werfel was coming out, I taped the crowd response because that was important. Certainly last night was important. Certainly Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin and Will Richard were important. But anyway, so Florida, Kentucky. That is your quick pick pull. We have our pull winner, and we'll send her that. And then you have a way to get back going in a new contest. All right. Let us move along to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, brought to you by our good friends at Adams Rib Company, the place to go for all your barbecue needs. And on Fridays, Nana's Nuggets. You need to get those as well. Our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week is Miara O'Neal, who I watched the entire women's basketball game yesterday. And again, they're playing a Mississippi State team that is playing for its tournament life. If they, according to Charlie Cream, and they said this 100 times on the broadcast, if Mississippi State lost, they were probably out of the tournament. If they won, they were probably in the tournament. So they lost by like 22 or whatever it was. And Florida blew them out, had to lead the whole way. Every time they'd make a run, Florida would make a bigger run. I gave them a lot of credit. I thought that was a really well-coached game by Coach Finley. No doubt about it. And Mariah O'Neal was pretty good. Now, you guys can let up on the Shaq stuff, okay? She's been here a couple of years. He's been to some games. He's Shaq. We all know that. But you can let up. That's not her identity. Her identity is her. But they had to mention it 43 times. Anyway, She scored 22 points and hit 4 threes. And to me, she was, I know Liv McGill had another big game, but she was a difference in the game. Her hitting those 4 threes, they were like, oh, God. Yeah, every time they would, start to make a comeback, she'd hit a 3. So anyway, she is our Adams Ribco Gator of the week. And Miara, I will tell you this, if you want to go have a free lunch, I'm there for you. I will buy it for you. That's my standing offer to any of our Adams Ribco Gators of the week. All right, let's move along to our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the week, brought to you by our friends at BMI TeleMed. Your weight loss specialist, achieve and maintain with BMI TeleMed, 727-383-1677, the number to call. And if you do, mention my name and you'll get a discount on your order. I've got mine right now in my little mini fridge is where I keep mine. It's worked for me and it'll work for you. Let us get our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the week, and that was my man Greg Sankey. Because I didn't know he was going to be there Tuesday night. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking and I go, hey, Greg Sankey's here now. Oh, they're going to give the trophy out. So I texted him and I said, hey, man, if you told me you were coming, maybe we could have gotten together. And he texted me back and said, I was quick in and quick out. So he basically came, landed, went and probably had a Diet Coke or a Diet Pepsi they have at UF. Walked out there, gave the trophy, got back, went on a plane, went home. Smart move. That's what I would have done if I was him. Not that I wouldn't have watched the game, but, he's got other things that are doing. He's got to go talk to the president. Anyway, it was a smart move. All right. That was our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the week. We appreciate BMI TeleMed. Let's get to our Los Linderos Tequila Smooth Move of the week, brought to you by our friends at Los Linderos Tequila, my favorite tequila and Urban Meyer's favorite tequila. Go beyond with Los Linderos Tequila. Our Smooth Move of the week belongs to Myles Garrett, who apparently has decided, if I sign a $150 million contract, speeding tickets aren't going to matter to me. He got his 9th speeding ticket since 97, I think it is. He was doing 90 in a 45 or whatever. Apparently, he doesn't believe in the law, but he stops. But the thing is, I'm sure he doesn't care. I'm going to still drive fast. But at some point, if you get 9 there should be like a cutoff. You get 10 speeding tickets, your license gets revoked. I don't know. He's got to have a lot of points, right? Maybe I don't know how it's working. But he just 2 speeding tickets ago flipped his Porsche and could have been really serious. He doesn't care. He's going to drive fast. Some guys are just that way. I'm me. I'm an old man who's got limited eyesight. I have on my license, I have to wear glasses, so I go the speed limit all the time, if not less. But that's what happens when you're 71. When you're his age, and what is he, like 30? I think. Yeah, sometimes you get excited. Sometimes you want to put loud noises on your car, like I heard going to the game, and I was like watching these people flying by us with these loud cars. I mean, they were making so much noise, and I was like yelling at them like an old man in the street, yelling at the clouds, and which I am an old man. And I went, no wonder people have been killed on University Avenue because people are flying around it. Stupid. Dummy. That's what I have to say. All right. It is time for us to wrap up our show, and we always do it with our games of the weekend. It is brought to you by the Swamp Restaurant, the only place to go to watch these games. It is such a great venue. That big TV out there, if you want to watch Florida-Kentucky game, if you want to watch anything, gymnastics on Sunday, maybe you couldn't get in. Maybe it sells out. I know the Mississippi State game last week was sold out. Or this week, yeah. So that is the place to go. The food is tremendous there. Great drink specials. The Swamp Restaurant. One of 2 places that is the Swamp, okay? There's the Swamp, and then there's the Swamp Restaurant. Nothing else is the Swamp. Okefenokee, that's a swamp. Anyway, it's a whole nother story. All right, let's get to our games of the weekend. Let's start with baseball. Friday through Sunday, I mentioned earlier, against High Point. Those games are all on the SEC Plus. So if you want to watch them, which I will, likely, we may go to one, I think. But if you want to watch them, SEC Plus is the place to go. If you want to watch a basketball game, 4 o'clock on Saturday, that is, I think baseball is at 4 o'clock. Yeah, I think it's 6, 4, and 1 are the games. I probably should have written them down, but I don't think I did. 6:30, 4 and 1. I'm sorry, 6:30, 4 and 1. All right, those games are going to be on, or the basketball game is on the ESPN, if you're wondering. All right, let's get to the gymnastics on Sunday, which is certainly a big meet. 6 o'clock on the SEC network on Sunday. It's a rare Sunday meet. So that's going to be a fun meet to watch. I know we're going to either be there or watch it on TV. I know that I think it's probably close to a sellout. And lacrosse is playing Mercer Saturday at noon at home, and that is on ESPN Plus. If you want to watch lacrosse, it's there for you. That's all I'm saying. Friday, basketball. I did want to mention this. Miami of Ohio at Ohio as they go for 31-0, 9 o'clock on ESPN2. I would think you'd want to watch the last 10 minutes of the game because Miami of Ohio doesn't blow people out. They play tight games, and they always find a way to win. Just the game I was talking about on Monday, they won on a basket at the buzzer. I mean, that's what they do. I still think I'm a big believer they belong in the tournament, no matter what happens in their, in their tournament. But we'll all be rooting against them only because we like to see upsets. We don't want to see a team go 32-0. It's just the way we are, or at least the way I am. Maybe nobody else is like that. But I do agree. I disagree with Bruce Pearl, as I always do, that they don't belong in the tournament if they lose a game in their tournament. No, they belong in. You win that many games. It's just like I did this thing for Patreon. I know I'm rambling here. I did this thing for Patreon on Wednesday about the 5 best SEC championship teams at Florida. And I put the 18-0 team first, ahead of this year's team, which was second. Now, the reason was because 18-0 is 18-0. And I believe 18-0 is, I'm 23-0, 31-0, whatever you are. If you're something in 0, you're really good. And you deserve to get your accolades. Just my feeling. Saturday, Vandy at Tennessee. Now, there is still some movement that can be had in the SEC tournament, but Vandy at Tennessee is going to be a fun game to watch, just to watch it. That's at 2 o'clock on ESPN. North Carolina Duke, the greatest rivalry in the history of sports. It's not that big a rivalry. I don't see it. North Carolina at Duke, 6:30 on ESPN. Duke will kill them. Auburn, Alabama. It's Iron Bowl in basketball is at 8:30 on ESPN. So you got a full day of watching basketball if you want to. And then I did want to mention the softball games are at 1, 4, and 7. The first game is on the SEC Plus. They're playing Missouri, starting of SEC season. I'm fired up for it. May get out to one of those. 1 o'clock SEC Plus, but the games on Sunday and Monday are 4 and 7 on the SEC network. So that's good too. We'll watch those. Or be them. So you've got all kinds of things you can do this weekend. Go to basketball, go to lacrosse, go to baseball, go to softball. Gainesville's the best town for college sports in America. I'm going to say it, and I believe it, and I think it's true. All right. Want to thank Paul Finebaum for coming on. Always great to talk to him. We'll be back with another show on Monday with the HBC. Look forward to that. Thanks so much to Zach Rothrock for doing a great job of producing this show. I will get out of here. I am going to try to go to the gym today with this bad foot and just do some lifting or something like that. I'll figure out something I could do. All right? I know you care about my situation. No, you don't. All right. That's going to do it for our show today on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. We'll be back with the show Monday. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here. All right, my brother. I rambled.